Hi, my name is Sally Barnard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery and awakening with the help of my spirit guides. It's time to trust your intuition. This is your inner knowings. Through questions and points of conversation, I can help others feel empowered. With the ability to touch people's past lives, I help others connect and not feel alone. Sit with me and call in live, 888-994-4995. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I'm opening my show with a little bit about what happened to me, which is astral projection, and then we're open for questions of anyone in the studio or anybody that wants to call in. So I'm just going to read you something. Welcome back, Cosmic Explorers, to another mind-expanding Call Me Zena. I am your host, Sally Barnard, and today we're delving into the realm of astral projection, venturing beyond the boundaries of space and time to explore the secrets of other planets. Strap in, because we're about to embark on a voyage that transcends the physical and unveils the profound messages awaiting for us in the cosmic unknown. Astral projection, the art of separating the consciousness self from the physical body, grants us the extraordinary ability to travel through the vast cosmos. But what happens when we extend our consciousness beyond our planet's limitations and venture into different worlds? What do the celestial journeys reveal about our own existence and the universe itself? As we travel the astral plane and reach other planets, we encounter more than just breathtaking landscapes and unfamiliar terrain. Messages from the beyond emerge. Whispers carried in the solar system, each containing nuggets of wisdom, understanding, and universal truths. These messages aren't just a product of our imagination. They are profound insights that hold potential to expand our awareness and transform our understanding of reality. As astral travelers, and that's what my book is about, and that's what I've experienced, we have the responsibility to bridge the gap between the beyond and here and now. The messages we receive from other planets can serve as a compass, guiding us towards living spiritual growth and harmonious coexistence with both of the planet and each other. Through storytelling, art, and open-hearted conversations, we can help others tap into the universal wisdom we've encountered, inspiring the global truth of consciousness. So whether you are a seasoned astral voyager or a curious soul taking your first steps into the astral realm, join us from beyond the veil. We will divulge accounts of astral projection, decode the profound messages received from other planets. So anybody that may have experienced this, please call into me. I have had this over many years now, and I've experienced many situations from other planets. So please feel free to call in. I have the studio audience here, and as my guest I have Sheila, who we had just met. So I just want to introduce you to Sheila. Okay, and we'll go from there. Please, I'm open to any questions that you may want to ask me. Thank you.
Sally, I have a question about the astral projecting.
Okay.
Your body stays where it is.
Yes.
So if you're sleeping, your body stays in your bed.
Yes, it does, Dawn, and I like that question because when it first happened to me, I had no idea what was happening. I did not move, but we have an astral plane, and I went to the astral plane. I knew nothing about this in the very beginning, but I was traveling, but I was still in my bed. So I was traveling outside of my body, so to speak, because I was lucky enough to have someone help me after this had happened to explain what had happened to me. We don't move, so if we have a partner in our bed, they are going to see nothing other than us sleeping, but we are outside of our body.
Then Your soul or your spirit that travels? Your consciousness? What leaves?
Well, it's our consciousness. For me, you know, at the time that happened, I really didn't understand it. But from what I understand, it's our consciousness that's going somewhere else. We are leaving our body. We aren't aware that we're doing that. Many of us have this when we're sleeping. We're just not aware. I was able to go and bring back the memories of what happened to me. But as far as what happens if we have a partner, they are going to just see us sleeping. But I've also learned a little bit more than this, because if you're taken, like, say, on an abduction, our memory is and that's what my show is about, actually, today on abductions. We actually have a memory that is wiped out. So if we have a partner, for instance, and we are abducted, the partner is not going to remember that we ourselves are not there at that particular point in time. It's a little confusing, and it was for me, but I'm understanding more right now.
Sally, how is it that certain people can relate to one another spiritually and what they call soulmates? Why is it that certain people can do that and certain people can't?
That's kind of it's a good question, but it's a little difficult to answer. I think that we attract, and I don't want to leave Sheila out of this. We had just met, but I feel a connection with her. And somehow, and many people have heard probably of the law of attraction, we will attract people that will understand us. As you well know, Freddie, in this studio, how many people have showed up that with my way of thinking, I've often thought to myself, is anybody out there that thinks the way that I am? And I spoke to my guide, as you know, anybody that's following me, Aldo, he said, you will meet people. We're energy, so we attract what we are, and we will attract certain people, especially in the studio here, and you've seen that will understand that. So it's kind of that, it's like, it's the law of attraction. It's energy. We're energy. If that helps them.
But is there a lesson learned or to be learned when it happens with certain individuals?
Yes, because I don't believe anything is coincidental. So yes, there is. When you meet somebody, and again, I don't want to leave Sheila out. I don't know anything about you, Sheila, but we had just met. I believe that there is definitely a reason that she is now sitting on my show today. I don't know yet. But, you know, as time goes by, we begin to figure that out. And that's happened with several people that have come into my life. I don't know the reason, but maybe a month or 2 weeks later, I'll say, oh my gosh, that's the reason. We attract what I'm going to say, need at that particular time. We may not know it, but we will see the answer. We will get the answers.
It seems like whatever it is that you need or the other person needs, that was the question, really. Who needs what, and then you find it, because there are no accidents, and it does occur, and the next thing you know, something you were looking for, the answer shows up.
Absolutely, and we don't always see it at that particular time. It might take a day, it might take a month, it might even take several months, but we will realize at that particular time when it happened that there was a reason for that. We kind of put out, it's like they're on our radar and we bring them into us. We may not always know, we don't know all the answers. It happens within a time period. There really is no time, but there's reasons for everything. You know very well, and you know me pretty well by now. I always say there are no coincidences. There are no coincidences. We just sometimes overlook the coincidences.
Sally, I was reading an article the other day. It talks about every night our soul leaves our body. So it's truly a miracle that our soul refines our physical body the next morning for us to wake up, which is why I said today, when you wake up every morning, it's a miracle. So is this part of the astral projecting when our soul leaves, but you remember where you went, and some people don't?
A lot of people don't. I was lucky enough to experience so much and also follow it through with my art, with what I'm drawing. I'm not unique. I just have had memory now of this, and I was lucky enough to have someone that came into my life to explain it. I believe that we all do this because there is, and it's been proved, and many people talk about the astral plane. I knew nothing about that at the time that I was traveling to the astral plane and beyond from there on in. But yes, it's something we don't normally accept as normal. But to me now, from understanding so much, I see that this does happen. I think it happens to everybody. We just don't remember. Only certain people do. And the ones that do, I can relate to because the same things happen to me. How is it possible that I meet someone? I know what I experienced. I documented it in my first book. But I wasn't alone. I hadn't spoken to the people that could understand what happened to me. We had someone in the studio just now, which is Frank. I could have thought to myself, I'm just making it up. But when I'm validated by somebody else that's had the same experiences, how can that be coincidence? It's real. It's real. And many, many people. I haven't met the people that are writing about it, but they're writing the same things that happened to me. So it's kind of, it's like, it's validation for me.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Hi, Sally.
Hi, Josh.
This is Abraham.
Hi, Abba. I know. I thought it was Josh. I'm sorry.
believe
You know that I am in a
I got you.
chance. But we are good friends, and I know you, and I've actually spoken to your spirit guide, so
Yes,
that I
ma'am.
know. Okay.
I wanted to know what does my guys have to say for me for the week, and I don't feel like I feel like I've been reborn.
I do believe that because and I do, sorry to call you Josh, but I know that your spirit guide is definitely with me, and I feel that he's here right now, and he's giving you advice. So, and the fact that you just said reborn, I feel that you're coming into contact with him much more, and we've had a lot of validation on that, which I know you can verify that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So he's with you. He's not going to leave you. But you're going through a period in your life right now that you're at a crossroad. And that crossroad is very important. So he's here to lead you on the right path. Does that resonate at all with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the fact that we got his name and many times that we've had that validation from your spirit guide, know that this is real, okay? That's very important for me to tell you this. You follow your intuition, your gut feeling, because you could go either way on that path, but go with your gut, okay?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
it's leading you with his help into the right direction.
Like, why do I feel like I could do anything?
That you can do anything?
Yes.
Because you can.
Okay.
You can. Don't lose that feeling. It's really good because you have a lot of help from the other side, let's say from the veil. You can continue with that. You are definitely on the right path. That's great that you said that because my show is a lot about positivity, and you've just told me that you are being very positive. Don't feel bad about it. That's great.
Thank you.
Sally, how do you put down negative influences that take away from the positive things you do in life?
Okay, if you get a negative, this is not easy, and I understand that, and I also have the same problems. But if something is negative that's coming into your life, turn it around. I'm going to say that it's not easy, but my suggestion is definitely, because if something negative is coming into your life, there may be a reason for that. So examine it, but try to turn it into a positive. Maybe sometimes, and I'm not going to be as positive when I'm saying this, you may need to go through that negativity to erase it and then turn it into the positive in your life. So sometimes negativity can lead us to, if for want of a better way of explaining this, into positivity because we're getting rid of it. People know of karma, and sometimes we need to get rid of karma, and I've said this many times, it's not necessarily what we think. We don't have to go through it, but there are certain things that we have to kind of go into certain things to get on with our life in a more positive way. So we have to erase a lot of that, if that makes sense. That's one of my guides that always says that makes sense.
Does spirit have anything telling you that why do people take advantage of good people?
Part of what we've signed up for. I hate to say that, but sometimes yes, because sometimes good people are, you know, they always used to say, and I don't necessarily agree with that, but the good die young, okay? Because they've come here for a purpose and a reason. Sometimes good people are taken advantage of, but it's an open-ended question, you know. I mean, but for me, positivity is really important, and good people are usually, not always, and I don't want to generalize this, but we're positive. Hopefully I'm a good person. We try to talk about positivity. If someone can relay a message in a positive way, that's a good thing. That would classify as a good person, if that makes sense.
Yes, ma'am.
Sheila, I know you're sitting here and I'm very delighted to have you as a guest. I just want to explain that I just met Sheila, but I feel that there is a connection here. And I'm also very bad with names, but I know that I'm remembering yours. Do you have a question for me?
My question would be, how do you feel about afterlife?
Okay, my views on that, and I know you're not aware of, you haven't been listening into my show,
No.
but I have touched a lot of that because I actually had a guide that explained a lot to me in physicality here.
Okay.
As far as what your question is, the afterlife, we do live on. And we don't change a lot. We are still who we are. I believe, and I'm not sure because we haven't had any conversations, I believe very much in reincarnation. I'm not sure if you're aware of that.
I do
so
too.
we come back many times. Our afterlife, as we transition, it's basically going to a different dimension. We can work a lot of things out, and then we come back to experience more here on Earth.
All right, and so like when my mother passed, I was 6 months pregnant, and it was a little girl, and she wanted the child before this child to be named after her. Didn't happen because I felt like my grandmother was going to go first. So after she passed, I named the child after her with the middle name. And when the nurses wheeled the baby in, everybody left the room. I was not on any medication. I looked up, the baby was sitting right next to me in the little cart, and I looked up and I seen my mother walk past the bed, didn't say a word, smiled at me, was wearing the exact outfit she always loved, and also had her pocketbook on her arm as she always did. She looked at me and she smiled and she walked into the baby.
Okay, I'm going to say that I do feel, and I'm getting goosebumps, that, and I know this is not going to surprise you, that the baby, you know what I'm going to say is reincarnation.
Yes,
I do not believe that
always,
this is completely
but I wanted.
coincidental. I'm able to validate that for you.
Okay,
Can
thank
we
you.
prove any of this? Absolutely. I know I can't, but I can go with my goosebumps, with my feelings that I'm getting from my collective. Yes, you are definitely understanding that, okay? And this was not coincidence that you should be sitting next to me on this show to ask that
Yes.
particular question. It makes me feel, I want to cry because I feel that, you know, I'm able to validate that as best I can.
Yes.
We have no way of proving any of this, but I've had so much validation. And for you, this is complete validation. You are absolutely correct. As far as
Thank
I
you.
can tell
Yes.
you. Okay. So this was meant to be that you were sitting here with
Absolutely.
that question. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Good.
No, thank
and
you.
I hope that also, to talk to our viewers out there, I hope that helps because we often think that it's hard to say that that person may have been someone else. But today, in this age of television, of internet, we've had so much proof because little babies will turn around when they're talking and say, "You're not my mother from another life," or "my father." We come back. As best that I can tell you, I know we come back many times. So maybe that's also important for our viewers on the show today.
Yes.
Thank you for that question.
Of course, thank you. And also my daughter was born with the same beauty mark in the same place, and she's the only one in generations.
Well, there you go.
Besides my mother. That's the
exactly
beauty
the
mark. It's like a
validation.
sign.
Because if you're aware of it, you're going to see that. Many people will not be aware of that, but they come in with wanting you to know that,
Yeah.
even if they're not aware of it. They are on the other side because we plan our life, we plan our parents, we plan everything. So that was a validation for you. Yes, as far as I can tell you from all that I understand, you are absolutely correct. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you for that question, okay? Thank you.
Hi, Sally.
Hi.
It's Josh now.
This is Josh now.
Yeah, this is Josh.
Sorry, okay.
I'm doing a presentation right now on artificial intelligence, AI, and I knew we were talking about that earlier. One quick question would be, I guess, is artificial intelligence humanly created, or was it given to us by someone else?
It was given to us. That's my first instinct from someone else. Again, and I'm not the only one to say this, we have to be very careful with AI. It's a remarkable tool, but as you know, anybody that have read my first book, I traveled to many different planets, and one of the planets that I went to, they actually explained AI to me. And this was 18 years ago, and I actually put a little bit, I believe, into my book. I didn't want to talk too much about it. It's a great tool, but it also, in the end, can be a little dangerous. And I'm not saying this, I know that I've listened to people that actually who are working with AI, who are giving this same information that I'm giving out. It's remarkable right now, but the more it grows, I'm not quite sure, and I don't want, I try to keep my show very positive, but we also have to watch this very carefully, I feel. That's the message that I want to give out today.
Okay.
Does
And
that
then-
answer your question? I go on a little bit and forget the theme of what you actually asked me. but
No,
does
yeah,
that-
no, that
Okay.
answers the question. And then, I mean, throughout the universe, there's obviously different planets, different life forms on each planet, and all that. Is not the looks of humans, but is the look of AI always the same throughout the universe?
No, it's not. It varies. I actually did travel to many planets, and most of the planets that I was on, this is going back 18 years, and it was a little strange for me to actually write this, but I know what I saw. Most of the people that I encountered looked very much like us. So I think my guides that took me to these planets didn't want to scare me too much. But I believe there are very different people that look differently. And as far as AI goes, again, I don't want to go too much into this because I don't want to scare people, but they are around us and they fit in. AI is like, well, without going, it has various different ways of explaining AI. I'm not completely sure, but AI can be a human, can be something else. It's technology, without going into this more deeply. But if you ask me a question, I can go more into it. I work very well with questions. Is there something else that you can actually ask me? They're
Yeah, I
blocking me a
mean,
little bit.
for the presentation I had, I labeled it the modern day meteorite. Before I had to change it, but I labeled it that because I thought, as the meteorite took out dinosaurs back then, would the modern day meteorite, being AI intelligence, wipe out humans as existence?
Again, I'm not here to frighten people, but I can relate to what you're saying, Josh. We have to, I'm going to say, and my message today is go with caution with this AI, because it's in a very advanced of ourselves, let's put it that way. AI is a combination of everything that we've experienced today. So we have to go with caution. And I know I'm not alone with this. Is it a great tool? Yes, it is a great tool, but we have to watch it. We have to watch it very carefully.
Awesome. Thank you, Sally. I don't mean to, bring all this negative on you. It's just I got to do this presentation. I'm about to bring on a lot of negative stuff to all of my classmates out there. So
You're going to do great, Josh. We had
Thank
a
you.
very short conversation before, and I don't always remember what I said.
Yeah.
But just don't let your own insecurities go with what you're going to be talking about, because you have a lot of knowledge on this. So go with, and as I am too, with what I'm feeling that I should talk about, okay? Don't worry about it. Don't think to yourself, well, maybe I shouldn't say that. And I'm glad for your question. It may be too negative. No question that is asked it's not coincidental. It needs to be asked.
awesome. Thank you so much, Sally.
Sally, I was thinking on this, on the AI thing, since in this modern day and time, and like they have the coming of the Antichrist and things like that, would it be like wrong for the coming of the Antichrist come through AI instead of a person? Since it's
I don't
modern
know.
day?
This is a difficult question. And, you know, I rely on a lot of my guides of answering this question. I'm having a feeling, and this is not a cop-out in any way, that I'm being blocked a little bit on this for some reason. It's a combination. AI is there to help us. AI is there to move forward into the future. But AI can go too far. That's all I can say on this. So go with caution with whatever we read on AI. I just did my opening just now, and I'm not good when I put my mind into it. So when I wrote this, well, I didn't, AI wrote this. So I have to also question some of these things. We need AI, and that's what I'm hearing, up to a certain point, because it's going to accelerate ourselves, very much so. But we also have to go to a certain period when this gets, hopefully it doesn't get out of control. That's basically my message, okay, not to get out of control. But did that answer your question? I know I go on sometimes, and if there's something else you want to ask me, please do so.
Okay.
Was that the answer to the question?
Something like that, yes.
Because I'm not sure exactly. I feel that there's more to this question, and I don't know. If you can just give me another question very quickly.
It's like I could feel the question, but I don't know it because I can feel
Okay.
my head burn.
I respect that, but maybe a little later on in the show
Yes.
we can talk about it. Okay.
Sally, I have an aunt, Sheila, who passed away this year. And it's interesting that Sheila is here. I didn't know that was her name. And my aunt's like, I'm here. Does she have a message for me?
She's acknowledging you, Dawn, and I'm bad with remembering names, but Sheila has become very important to me on this show, plus another name too that I was talking about. So I feel that she's with you, she's listening to you, she's delighted by what you're doing, she loves listening to you. Talk to her. She's very aware of your surroundings and what's going on. So if you have a question for her, just talk to her like you're talking to me and and then go with your intuition, or even ask me and we can come up with the answer.
Okay.
She's happy that you brought that up.
Do you want to go to commercial break?
Okay, we're going to go for a commercial break and we'll be back in a few minutes. Please don't leave. Call in, or anybody in the studio, give me a question. Thank you. We'll be back. This world, this life, this illusion. What is going on, we ask? What is happening? Why not take time and see what is happening? This world as we know it, it seems so real, and yet so far away from where we've come. Corruption, greed, anger, power, revenge. Please wake up. We can change what is around us. How, we may ask. Learn to go back to where we were. Then we will have the clues. Then we can change and go forward. Please take the time. Do not fall into the game which we have put upon ourselves. We can change. We can make a difference. We have the power, each and every one of us. Go in peace. Go with love. Go as one. Zena.
A true story, Call Me Zena, is the telling of Sally Barnard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came to the U.S. in 1979. A mother of two and grandmother of four, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the third dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest in art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she's able to astral project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life's direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today.
You have been watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Barnard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you could always seek me out for resources. Visit artbysallybarnard.com today. Now, back to the show. Hi, welcome back, everybody. I'm open to questions. Anybody that wants to ask me something, please do so. Anyone in the studio, Sheila, anybody that wants to call in, 888-994-4995, Studio A. Here we are.
Sally, we're working on putting some concert series together, different venues, different demographics. What do you think about this idea? And should we specifically look at one genre versus another?
I love the idea that you're actually expanding a little. I mean, you've done a lot, Dawn, but I feel that you need to expand more in that particular area. Whatever you're going to do or you're coming across, what you feel, because I know that you're part of the whole, you understand this, you're not going to make a mistake. So go ahead and expand in different areas. It's important. You will succeed.
Sally, following up to that question, over the weekend I was given some, like I said before, what do you do when people lead you on to think that you're going to be doing something in that venue and then all of a sudden they pull out because it's convenient for them to do it? So should we expand into the venue or not?
Well, if someone, which maybe you have signed somebody up or you've talked to somebody to do something and it doesn't work out, Freddie, that's the way it's meant to be. So expand, even if you're feeling that maybe it will show itself by, if it's not correct, that person will pull away. So my answer to that is, if that happens, you're still on the right track because somebody else will show up. Does that mean anything to you?
It does, but then the question is, you know that the person that is doing what they're doing can mean a whole lot to the venue, but turning it on and off because they can is a little bit difficult to sustain any kind of upward mobility when they have the power to be able to say, no, I'm not interested at this time, right in the middle of it.
Okay, and I can understand obviously frustration there, but if things don't pull together the way that they're meant to, somebody will pull out. There's a reason for that. But on the positive side, something else will show up. I know people say, oh yeah, right, this person didn't show up and I've been let down. But there's a reason for that, because let's call it that they're working behind the scenes for us. So if something doesn't show, and this has happened in my life too, something better will show up. I know that sounds, oh, she's so positive, but it is true. So there's reasons. It has to be something on both sides for it to work. If one person isn't sure, even if they go ahead with it, it's not necessarily in balance, if that makes sense.
But do you stay in touch with the person that's imbalanced, or do you like chalk it up and move on?
That's up to you to actually understand that, Freddie. But most of the time we'll get a message with somebody that has pulled out from something. There's a reason. So if they're off balance and you're in balance, it's not going to work. So maybe it isn't the timing. Timing has to be correct. There's no time on the other side, but we have to gel with our timing. So for us, it could be another year, and that same, with what you were talking about, maybe what it was meant to happen in a year from now, because there may be other people involved that weren't ready. I mean, just give it a lot of thought. If that happens, there's reasons. I'm feeling it was, I think you're talking about a particular thing, and it wasn't in balance. It just wasn't the timing. It may be a year from now, it may be 6 months from now, but not at the timing that you had. Does that make sense?
Yes, but the reaction is that it deflates the balloon. And then you have to decide whether or not that was just an incident or it's just not a good match.
I would say it wasn't a good match, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it won't be a good match. the timing was off. I'm getting very much that the timing was off for this particular thing. It will probably, and I'm not saying this particular thing, but I'm feeling that it will show itself again. It may be a different person, but the same venue that you were going to do will happen, but it wasn't, the timing wasn't now.
So should I let go of the person that messed up the venue? See, I'm trying to get an answer here because
Yes.
I'm very confused because I hear that a lot of people have told me it doesn't work. And I disagree with that. I think it does work. I think that the problem here is that you have two people that are pulling in different directions for different reasons. And I don't know if I should just
Again,
abandon that.
No, don't abandon, if this makes sense to you, don't abandon it completely. Abandon it for right now, okay? If this scenario or that person shows themselves, don't cut them off. It just isn't the timing right now. I feel very much with it. I don't know what it was all about, obviously, because you're just telling me this right now. But I think it's going to show itself again a little while from now. It's hard to give you time, but I think maybe, let's say 6 months from now, you'll say, oh, that's why it didn't happen then. Okay, does that make sense? So keep an open, in other words, keep an open mind, Freddie. Don't detach yourself completely from this whole thing. You need to detach right now, but it's going to happen again. And it might be another person, I don't know. But whatever you were discussing will come about. It definitely will come about, but not right now. That's what I'm feeling. Does that help you a little?
Absolutely. You know, I mean, you're looking for answers to the puzzle.
Yeah.
And sometimes you sort of have to look deep down inside to what you feel.
But what I'm feeling is that there was a time slot for this, but something else is going to fill that time slot that was appropriate for what was happening right now, okay? Just remember that. It's hard to explain it, but just know that whatever you were maybe putting for this particular thing that was going to happen, something else is going to take its place that was very prominent for right now. And then this other, let's put it on the back burner for right now, but I believe it's going to show itself later on. Remember these words. I can't tell you exactly, but I do feel that you were still on the right track. It might be not that person, it might be somebody else that was going to come up with this. But you were not wrong in your thinking, it just wasn't available right now. Help you?
Yes.
Good. Okay.
Also, kind of what Freddie was talking about, if something bad happens in your life, let's say, okay, you're frustrated, you're trying to make it home, and you get that traffic light, and these traffic lights, these could be possibly angels trying to help you, because say you got that green light and just up ahead an accident happened, someone would have ran into your car as opposed to someone else's. Not that a tragedy should happen to anybody, but that could have been your guardian angel.
I love that question because
Yes.
I've talked about that. I know you haven't listened, you just
No,
met me right
yes.
now. But I do talk about that a lot, and I do use a scenario with a car. Okay.
Okay.
Because we go with our gut. And my answer to that is if you have a feeling and you're going somewhere and you're at a traffic light and you feel, because we all can do this, we've just got to know we can do this, that maybe we should take that next turning, not turn right but left. And I've used this before. Go that way, so you're a little late. It doesn't matter, but
That's
go
right.
completely with your gut, because we are guided. We have guardian angels. We have many guides, and they are trying to tell us. So if we feel very strongly about slow down, or even a traffic light, people say, "Why is this taking so long?" It's not necessarily, but it means that you're meant to slow down at that particular intersection. So go with your gut, and I have mentioned that before. So that's a good point.
It's interesting that you've mentioned that before
Yes,
as
I
well.
do. And I use it as a car too, because we're very often, I myself, I feel that I should be going straight, but something tells me turn right. I'll turn
Right.
right, so I'm late. better than having the accident. Right?
Exactly.
So that's what I do, and I do
Exactly.
follow that very much.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Hi, Sally.
Hi.
I'm back over here now.
Hi, Josh.
There's many instances where like many athletes in sports worlds, they get into this flow or rhythm and they just are unstoppable. Steph Curry when he goes off with his 3-pointers. Tom Brady when he throws every ball in the perfect placement and all that. That flow and energy, is it possible to feel that in just everyday life?
Yes. I'm not a tremendously, although I was very into sports as a child and I did many sports. Today I don't follow it that much, but I know what I used to do. I mean, I was a runner and in my mind, and I didn't understand this, I knew that I was never going to lose a race, and I never did. So I believe that carries on. We're doing what we should be doing, so we're able to do it maybe a little bit faster than someone else because that's what we're meant to do. So you follow your gut again, just follow. And a lot of these, I mean, I was watching gymnastics yesterday on the television, and what was her, the girl, she's amazing. I can't remember her name right now because
The famous one for US,
yes,
Simone Biles?
Yes, she was absolutely amazing. How do you do these things? It's incredible. It's like she's from another world. And it fascinated me. But that's what she's meant to do. She show people that you can go beyond your wildest dreams. And she's a very good example of that.
Okay. And then you won't like technically see these arrows and they won't guide you, right? You'll just kind of feel it.
You feel it.
Yeah.
It's a feeling, and that goes with everything. You know, I often talk about your gut. Go with what your gut instinct is. You know, even if it's not, what's so wrong? You follow what you're meant to be hearing.
Yeah.
Try it. It works. Not all the time, maybe, because we ourselves sabotage ourselves too. But just if you can believe it, it works.
Is there a way to heighten that touch or feel of things?
Yes, you can, because you go again with your intuition. You go with what you know, even if it's the silliest thing and you feel that you should do something, go, what can happen? What's so bad about following what you may be hearing? Do that. I did. And here I am right now. I thought I was going crazy, especially when I was astral projecting all over the place. And yet I had someone come into my life to explain exactly where I was, who actually came, if people are following me, came into my dream and was able to tell me my dream here in physicality. So I was obviously on the right track.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Sally.
And like, so going with what he was saying, with your gut feelings, just the other day, I felt like in my plaza, because I have a day spa, and so I felt like I needed to just walk across the plaza to the Dollar General, and I was just going to walk around. I had like 5 minutes. There was really no reason, rhyme, or cause, but I have a tendency to be pulled towards people that are less fortunate than us, but I was blessed enough to be raised in an environment where I was not as fortunate as other people, to see people in a different light, as other people didn't experience that when they had everything as a child, or they were blinded by it by their parents. So I went over to the Dollar General, and there laid a guy with a veteran sign, and he had a dog. And I automatically, my brain went, go get the dog food, go get the dog water. And the lady stopped me. She says, is there something you can do for him? I said, well, you know, I'm going to get him some water, some crackers. I went outside. There was no reason for me to be here. I said, instantly, I gave it to him. He was like, thank you. I'm a veteran. I fought for our country. There was a gunfight in front of me, and now, you know, I have PTSD. And they gave me a $1,000 voucher. I used it in a VA place, so I have nowhere to stay, nowhere to go. I live in a tent. And so I went back over to my shop, and I thought, and there was just this, it was in my head, and it just wouldn't go away. And it says, listen, you have to help him. Just go ahead through your thought process. So I just let go, and I let my brain do the thinking, kind of as what he was saying. You have to just let go and kind of feel your situation, what you're supposed to do. And then all of a sudden, I said, you know what, the dog has paws, it's hot, he's walking back and forth. I have a bicycle, it's been in my garage. It's a 3-wheeler, it has a huge basket in the back. I used to take my son and my dog in it. I hadn't ridden it in months. Has a basket, all the bells and whistles, lights on the wheels. So I called my neighbor up. He's a really good guy. He brought the bike right over, brought it to the man, and the man couldn't have been happier riding with his dog in the back of the basket. And to me, it was joy, of course. My heart smiled, but then I put use to something that was just sitting in a garage, and it was all connected like that.
The words that are coming to me, the right place at the right time. Of course, you were guided. That's a very good example of going with what you want, your gut. You didn't know the outcome, but it was so important for him, but also for you too. And that was a beautiful story. You went with your gut. You were there, you were put there, he was there, and you lightened someone's day.
And it was a tricycle
Yes.
with a basket for the dog.
Oh, can you see
and
that?
he could balance
Yes,
it because he had this PTSD.
Beautiful,
You know,
beautiful.
it was like...
And if more, you know, just to open up, let's say to our viewers that
Yes.
we're not alone with that. That happened to you and you saw the validation. I
That's
love that
right.
story. As you're telling me, I'm getting what they call my famous goosebumps. That was beautiful. It happens to us. We don't always follow that. But that was, thank you for sharing
always
that. That was
follow it
beautiful.
because-
Absolutely.
yes.
Always follow it. Yes.
I wanted to hear if you had anything recently happen to you, Sally, at all. Any answers, any signs that you saw in front of you to tell your viewers about?
Well, yes, because I've had a lot, you know, for the viewers that have been following me. I've been married not quite a year yet, but I've had a lot of validations Steve and I have had. And a lot of the signs of one particular story, and I'm glad that you mentioned that. My daughter passed, people that have been following me, just over a year ago. And I've had I believe that there's a rest period, but that's just my belief before she would come to me. But she has definitely come to me in one particular story that was very important to me that happened because we went a year later to visit her gravesite, not to get too upset because I do believe we live on. And my granddaughter, who still talks to her like she's here, which gives me a great pleasure, that's her daughter. And we left the gravesite. I never would have come up with this, but thank you very much. And I just felt that she was still with us. But I also had, and this sounds weird, but I needed to call Walgreens, my pharmacy, about a prescription that was going to be left outside my door. I'm in Baltimore, and this is Florida where I live with the heat. And I thought, well, I can't leave this prescription outside my door. I'm not returning for 3 days. So I called Walgreens, and I said to them, you know, my prescription is about to be delivered tomorrow. Please, could you change it and leave it for 3 days when I arrive home? And they said to me, but your prescription has been delivered. I said, no, it hasn't. I see I'm home, and I'm not home, but I haven't had a delivery when I left. And they said to me, yes. They said to me, it's been delivered. I said, where? And they mentioned Wisconsin. I live in Florida. I've been here 40 years. I use the same pharmacy. My daughter lived in Wisconsin, okay? And I'm going, this is impossible. They said, no, it's not. Someone picked this prescription up. Call your doctor and tell them to change your address. And I've been with Walgreens for years, to Florida, not Wisconsin. Well, I got off that phone and my message was, oh my gosh, it was for my granddaughter. My daughter lived in Wisconsin.
Oh, goosebumps.
How does that happen? That's very, very, very aware of that today. So it was a message that my daughter is still around. And I said, well, could I please have my prescription delivered back to Florida? But it meant so much. And I'm glad I never would have mentioned that story. Thank you for bringing that up.
Little
That's-
goosebumps when you were telling that
yes,
story. so.
absolutely. And my granddaughter was always talking. She said to my daughter, thank you, you know. So yes, that was important. Anybody else with anything? I don't usually personalize this too much, but that was important.
Hi, Sally.
Hi.
I wanted to know if I lost piece of myself when I was in foster care.
You did, but you know what? You're correcting that now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you know that.
Yes.
Okay, that was part of your journey. don't, I mean, yes, it can be a negative, but you also actually got something out of that. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay, so yes, that was part of what you chose, but it was also in some ways beneficial to you. You lost yourself, but you're coming back now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we still have a few minutes here. Anybody else with anything? We have like 3 or 4 minutes.
Sally, what does Elizabeth have to say today?
Oh my gosh, she never left you, Dawn. You know that. And this thing about Elizabeth, she always says she's very glad that you said that. She's following you. She's following you with your daughter too. Your daughter, I'm getting a slight message for her. She's with your daughter right now. Your daughter is beginning to fit in very much with what she's doing, and she wants you to know that because she's watching her. She resonates with her from the 15th century, and a lot of the art that your daughter is going to do or teach is going to be related to that. So she's very happy that things are turning out the way they are right now. There may be a period of adjustment, if that makes any sense to you, Dawn, but go with it because she's on the right track. This is more for your daughter, actually. She's definitely on the right track. Tell her never to give up with this. She's definitely following her path. Does that make sense at all?
It does. Will
Good.
she meet her person that she's looking for in Washington, in the area?
She will, but I'm going to say not immediately because she's got a lot of other things going on, her career being the first part of this. She will eventually, if she stays there, she's going to stay there for a little bit. I just feel there's going to be some sort of a change a little bit. It might be with the person that she meets that may not be particularly from that area. But right now, everything is the way that it's planned to be. Later on, things will show up and open up a little bit more, but she's right where she is right now, in the right place. And Elizabeth is with her.
It makes perfect sense.
Good.
Hi, Sally.
Hi.
So, what does it mean when past people come back to your life that you haven't really spoke to in a while, I guess, but you guys didn't really end bad? Is there a lesson that's supposed to come out of that? Because I really don't have desire of being friends with that person again.
Well, be aware that they left you at a certain point in your life but have returned. There's usually a reason for that. Because again, and I'm going to talk about timing, and it can go with friendship too. You can meet someone maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and the timing, male or female, it doesn't have to be, it can be of the same sex, that you're not going to gel so much, but they come back into your life or you go back into their life. There's usually a reason, and you may have more of a connection. The connection might not have been there before, but I think if you pursue this, there's going to be a connection and you'll find your answers. That's why sometimes people return, or we return to people, vice versa, whichever way around you look at it. And you may not see it right now. I have a feeling that you absolutely have no idea. Okay, am I right with that? Okay, but go with it. I mean, if it's still your choice not to, that's okay too. But there is a reason behind this, and I'm feeling you're saying, I don't know, okay? All right, I'm feeling that very strongly, but still go with it a little bit.
Because I'm like the queen of not going back. I don't
Okay,
go backwards, so
I
it's
feel
like,
that very strongly.
no.
But the fact that you brought that into the show, there's a reason. So you don't have to do this, but I feel that there's a reason. Maybe it's still too early for you, the reason. It could be another couple of years from now. But for the person that's reappeared, that was their timing. For you, it might be a couple of years from now. So there isn't that balance right now, okay? Thank you.
Hey,
Sadly, there's always a reason that people come to the studio. They add another layer of spirit, for lack of a better explanation. I just wanted to know what feelings you got from DJ, which I haven't seen in over a year. What kind of spirit she brought to the studio?
From who? I'm sorry.
Sheila.
Sheila? Oh, no, she's definitely, because she's here, I just met her and she's sitting as my guest on my show. I don't have that many guests, as you know. And the guest that I was meant to have didn't show up today. So yes, your feeling of your personality, her persona is very important here right now. You're holding some sort of this isn't going, do you feel that, Sheila? Because why would I have many people that I meet, but I don't necessarily invite them on my show. It's not that I don't like them, but I felt that with your personality and with what I'm talking about, there's definitely a reason. It doesn't end here, okay? So yes, she's shown up definitely, Freddie, for a reason. That might be for you, two of you to work out, but it also was something to do with me too, okay? You feel that?
sure,
Good,
yes.
yes. So it was an important re-encounter, so to speak. That's what they're telling me, okay? So whatever you guys work out is on the right track. Whatever we may work out, because I'm definitely coming to your salon too, was what was meant to be. Okay?
That's right.
Okay.
Hey, Sally.
Hi.
I wanted to ask you, what can you pick up from the energy in my house?
In your house?
Yeah.
Well, again, you know, I try to be positive, but there's good and bad there, and I know you know that too. But just follow what you want with what your set of rules are. I'm hearing that very important. Follow what you want done in your house. This all makes sense to you. I don't know, because I don't know the situation. But whatever you're saying needs to be followed at this point. There are entities, and not necessarily in your house, but there are entities coming in there for some reason that you have to be, I don't want to say be careful of, but be aware of, okay? So continue with, I want this done, or to that person that might be speaking to you. Be aware that there's other things going on behind the scenes. I don't see anything bad, but you need to stick up for what you want. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so be aware of that. Your guide comes very through to me too, and you know that too. So you are definitely being guided with your guide, okay? There are no mistakes. You're not going to make the mistakes if you go with your gut.
Okay. Thank you, Sally.
I think, are we coming to the end of the show, or is there time for one more question?
Time for one more question.
Okay, do you have a question? Anybody? One more quick question.
I have one.
Good.
Okay, so this part of my journey, this is kind of like towards like my family. Should I pretty much separate myself from them just for the time being, just for a little while? Because I'm starting to see my family members for who they are, which I'm not trying to judge or anything, but some of them is kind of like...
Keep your distance a little bit, but don't let go, if that makes sense to you.
Okay.
Just keep a little, you know, don't necessarily even judge, but just be aware of the situations. You're seeing it for a reason. It doesn't mean that you're going to break ties with anybody, particularly in your family. It will be a time where we get that balance again. But you're seeing things that you're meant to see right now, okay?
Yeah.
Right now. So, and that goes without judgment if you can do that, but just be aware of some of the things that you're seeing, because you're seeing them for a reason. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else with a very quick question?
If someone wants to try to astral travel, astral project, is there a way just to do it?
Yes, and unfortunately we went a little bit off topic, which happens too. I had no idea when I started to astral project what was happening to me, and we will do another show on that too. I didn't train myself, I didn't even know it existed, but there are books and there are many answers that we can get, and we can learn how to do that. I didn't, so for me it was a little different. I just went, and I was going every other day for nearly a year. But yes, if people are interested, and I open my show with this astral projection, read about it. We do this. We don't necessarily remember what we're doing. And my guide here told me, just say you want to remember. And I went on from there and remembered a lot of my traveling. We think it's a dream, but when you remember, and I remember from 18 years ago, every aspect of every single thing that I saw, and that involved going to different planets, it's real. How can I remember a dream from 18, 17 years ago? It's not just me. Just go with it. Read about it.
Sally, how can people reach out to you if they want to talk to you when you're not on the air?
Well, I'm going to give that to Dawn to give out my information because I am in a trance. So please give out my information, Dawn, if you can.
You can email Sally at callmezena, Zena 1111 at gmail.com, or you can reach Sally right here at the studio at 888-994-4995, and we will get her the message.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I will come out of my trance in a minute. Thank you. I believe that's the end of the
That's
show.
it.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Coincidence or not, it's time to trust your intuition and knowings. Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery and awakening with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Barnard, and you can find my book, artwork, and contact through artbysallybernard.com. Join us next week. This has been Call Me Zena.